Hello, stellar people, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Trey, and today we will continue with our HBH Project character inking. And today's character will be the Hidden. The Hidden is a fringe society character in this cyberpunk world, and this time I think I'm going to do it all in ink wash. Now, character-wise, for the HBH project, we started with Dog, our main hero lead character, which I did with just a brush pen on some rough paper. And then next was Fatal, the detective, who I did in brush pen with ink wash, spot blacks, and then correction fluid for the hair highlights. Then after that, we did Kerberos, the cyborg. And I did this guy all in micron pens. And so I've done each of these characters slightly differently. And for the Hidden, it'll all be done with ink wash. And then we'll layer that up with various layers of ink wash. And then we'll go in with maybe a brush pen, some rough, ratty old pens to give it some texture, and maybe some correction fluid, but we'll see how this all goes. Now, usually I start with the transferring process of getting the characters down onto Strathmore, either rough or smooth paper. And I always do a pencil sketch if I don't want to use my light table. For the Hidden, I'm going to do mostly an outside or the outlines of the character, and then the various washes, and we'll refine those washes over time. So once I have the outline done and it's on the paper, I then usually the marks are a bit too dark for me. So then I knock it back using this kneaded eraser just to get rid of some of the lines, knock them back before we start the ink wash process. Now for the ink washing is one of my favorite things to do. Sometimes I think I do it a little bit too much, but I like it because I like painting in watercolor, and this feels the most like that. But for the initial phase, it's just about it's about coverage. You want to get the whole character with one layer of ink wash. Now, once I have the whole character with an ink wash base layer, I have my paper off to the side so I know it's pretty much where I'm going, because some of the pencil lines can get lost. And now the fun starts, where we go in. So the first layer is done. The second layer is to more refine the character, to know where the shadows lie. And that is part of the second step. And we go from the most inking to we'll get less and less washes as we get tighter and tighter on the final image. And then we'll see where we're at, and then add texture and correction fluid for some sharpening up and some detail work. And that is the end of the first day. And on the second day, well, the longest part of the whole process is waiting for ink, the washes to dry. So on the second day, we go back into it, and we try to add things each day or each session. Starting with the shadows, the most shadowy areas, you'll push those with this ink wash, and you just keep refining it and refining it and refining it. And this is pretty much fun. This is play for me. And I think that's why I really like doing ink washes. Because not only does it feel like painting, it's I'm not exactly sure it's how it's going to turn out. There's that excitement of that. I'm not really worried about messing up because this is the fifth character? The fifth character in the HBX character inking thing. So, I got those guys done, and now I'm just messing around and playing with it. And Hidden's the perfect character because he's a waste bin living fringe societal character who has secrets, but he kind of hides himself from the world. And for a character that doesn't show his face and he kind of hides from the world, you can pretty much just play with it. And that's what I'm attempting to do. So I keep going on the refinements, just pushing it and pushing it. At this point, one of the hardest things now is you lose your lines because you're going over them so often. So you have to have a side paper with the image on it so that you can kind of feel out where you're going. And so I keep checking my reference image, and I keep going. Now in this layer, I'm going to do something slightly different where I'm pushing the darks. I'm starting to really push those darks. And so I do an ink wash and then introduce on the side some undiluted black ink. So I'm essentially staining the ink wash with much darker black ink. And what this does is it's pushing my blacks. I'm pushing the blacks to another level. So it's not the darkest dark blacks, like spot blacks, so that it comes out as slightly diffused, but still solid enough that you can push those darks. And finally, now I'm scuffing them up a little bit where it's very little ink on the brush and I'm just scuffing them. And now I'm doing a final pass where I am pushing the areas that I really want to push. And getting that final silhouette solidified and locked into place before I go in with some correction fluid. So now I'm going with some of my older brushes, ratty old brush pens that are dying out, and I'm just trying to get these little details because it can sometimes be a little wishy-washy and you're trying to tighten it up. So this is a tightening up phase and some correction fluid phase. Here I have my Jelly Roll white pen and give it some highlights and darken some areas on the mask. It's a gas mask and he does not smell too nice, so even for himself. And now I'm using the old brush to give it some texture, rough them up a little bit. And, not have it be so flat. That's what texture can do for you. The danger, of course, is going too far, but I think I'm okay. And now I have this whiteout pen that flows out pretty fast, but anything I want to refine on the outside of the figure, I can do so. And that was the ink wash and almost all the tools that I used in the making of the Hidden the last character for this HBH project. And as an experiment, I like it. I didn't really have, any high goals for this. I just wanted to try it and see how it worked out, and it worked out, I think. I think it's always good for me to experiment and try new things, even if I don't know exactly what I'm doing, to try to stay fresh and on my toes. And you never know what could happen. So that was the hidden. Have the sketch and then what he became with the ink washes for this HBH project. And here we have the full cast in a line, which is always great to see at the end of one of these projects, because then I can see the differences in style and implementation between them. And this was really, really fun. So thank you very much for joining me on this character experiment of Heaven Between Hell characters: Dog, Love, Fatal, Kerberos, the Cyborg, and the Hidden. And I will see you in my next video. I've been Trey. You can find my work at treyhodges.com, and I will see you later. Take care, keep shining. Bye-bye.